Zona Dola Benje Sanje From now on till enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the may I create in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. From now on till enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the may I create in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. From now on till I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the may I create in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
할아버지 숨 나라 지금 봤을게 가만히 아랑 그좀 우인도 사진 좀 봐. 이제 딘지된치면 남게 이제 소나 진짜 땅원에 아주 지 유벤저 땅면자 뭐다 거 바라서가 기zam지나 반대 손에 대비 갑도 지나 지지다 원에 해야지다 멈춰야지 이렇게 땡기 직 파셔 직 파이네 사자랑 우든 가마다도 겨치마 가발로 있네 어다 디디 겨치마 자꾸 가마 때만 타기다 겨치마 생기라 땡자이는 땡타에서 다 되게 같이 지연아 저와 같이 지연으로 아니 저와 때라 가기 신이 스타일 고가라게 니 좋아해 콜바 지삼지여나 니도 지삼지여 어다 미 존재가나 대치대 여매 니 좋아해 간다래 어다 땅년다대 겨치마게 운가마다도 땅년다 되게 답배 네 가서래 니 소년도 개 매서 근데 이나 치마게 유저대 가래 sembasambu chanchuki semre mochi singende ani da di zawa yu ani niji chimbo dige di kune nane zungindu sarjin döndiye nada wada tumba tube wangbe zunga sarjin jobin döndiye nada o yabun tinegi ransu joma ani be zung sarjin döndiye nada dige di ngone semgido bajajani chima kenjela keyo wada kusungo wada di indoga ngone ngaransu 소관의 집에 가서 말해. 유행이 자제나라. 제가 제가도 쉬우지 개침. 아직 개침. 대투고래. 아직 아주 최신이 유행이 아주 심리 tem비 리긴양 남규대 유라단에 시거와. 어떻게 유행이 유라단 걸 마도 소관은 유라단 아니 출원도 되가라. 마마 가래라는지 되베이나 같이 그것도 차례 내 아버지는 말
A saying by a great, scholar, Kongdan Rinpoche, begins with the even if you manage to fill up entire mountains or valleys with the gold, the golds and treasures, but when you go to the next life, what will actually benefit and that can accompany with you is just a one syllable mantra that you have recited. So here what Kongda Rinpoche is advising us is that whatever we attained, manage to attain within this lifetime, wealth, property, even people, friends or relatives, or fame, or respect, they are good for just kind of really short period or temporary this life this lifetime only. Once we leave this life behind, and that timing is not kind of far. It's just a matter of basically stopping our breathing, exhaling or inhaling. Once we do that, beyond that, whatever we have accumulated, we cannot carry. They cannot accompany us. It might be good at the time if we manage to just kind of get a quick glance at them, but there is not sure even for that. Then Hunan, which says here that then what really can you carry to your next rebirth, the next life, is out of a great sense of caring for other sentient beings, or out of mind of bodhicitta, altruistic mind, and with kind of compassion as the seed or cause. And if you recite even just one syllable mantra, of maybe Buddha Shakyamuni, or maybe Athara, even just one mantra with good intention, that's the one that can you can carry with us, that can accompany with us to next life. And so that through the positive activities that we created, and reciting mantras, remain as a mental imprints on our consciousness, and then we can carry to the next kind of rebirth. So the most important thing here is that what we hear the advice. The most important is that we should be implementing this kind of advice in our day-to-day life. And another way of saying is that what we are discussing here, this shouldn't be kind of sort of different from what we actually do in our real life. So the advice that we hear, like just we mentioned before, it should be kind of transforming, bringing change in our kind of way of thinking, in our attitude. So in our day-to-day life, we should be kind of having some changes from this kind of advices or study. Otherwise, if we kind of discuss something here, and out there in the real world, if we do something totally different, then that is a great contradiction, within our own kind of practice, and that shouldn't be the case here.
이신이 내가 밀롱에 다시 지고 와. 어때나 이 그거 내가 따고 통지 룽알 애니베 나지만 봐. 룽알 남자만고 잡아진 리지게 룽알이야. 장애돼 봐. 나가지 말이야. 와다 룽알 주로이 룽알. 와다 또 신이 사무다네. 아니 그걸로 탈탈치 와. 요즘 깨지면 잘 넣어. 인디가라 딱 그런 이미 계속 쓰는 거야. 그때 와다 그걸로 탈탈 라 집 결투구에나 그런 이미 중 시작하지. 아랑아 팬다고 와. 와다 대마인 봐. 아니 그걸 탈탈 맞게인지라. 아니 견도 땀이 누구인지라 그런 이미 시작이나. 와다 레전시다 요마. 이거 요마. 와다 되게 뭐네. 바기 가지 펜 토다 마토스기 소수 시기를 펜 토나 오다 상인지 된 주베 고가 주베 아니 개병원보다 중담배 고가 주베 소수 시기를 마페 마이나 라나 고가테 맞주베 어떻게 대인들랑 와서 그런 시야에 그런 이미지 요래 가지 그런 이미지가 그러와 뜬다라이 시도 오다 그라이킨도 따니 그러와테네 탈파 미네비냐인데 오다 되게디 중요하게 답랑 또 수능도 가라 오다 때리 캘치버지 뭐야 쉽게 좀 찾아야
So in the the quotation that we just mentioned before by Kongdan Rinpoche, he mentioned when we leave or when we are going. Here he refers this action of going into next life, not just kind of ordinary just walking or going, and leaving this world behind or this life is something that is not too difficult to understand, especially when we see because these are something that we can experience, that we can see, regardless of one's own status, nationality, power, and what we are seeing right now, such as what's happening in Philippines, and it happened before in India, and we see even here, America, kind of natural disasters such as storm, hurricane, and when we look at these kind of these sort of forces that takes away our life, one way of understanding here is that it makes us feel like we really don't have control our own life over our own life. We are under the threat of any kinds of like natural disasters or calamities, and can take away our life without our choices. And so what is important here is that when we see this kind of risk or disasters, what we can do is with the understanding of this kind of inevitable, unavoidable kind of natural disasters, and then instead of making ourselves kind of feeling like powerless without any kind of freedom, but and becoming those as a sense of kind of fear, instead of that we can really look at those and then reflect more on kind of sort of the understanding the true nature of cyclic existence. And we can, with those kind of risk or potential risk, instead of becoming those as a source of, our own suffering, we can turn those into a source of kind of happiness. And because of this potential risk, we can, use in a such way that they can become a kind of factors to make our life actually more meaningful, and then if that is the case, that I have no control and choice over my own life, then how can I make best use of what I have right now? And with that, we can really kind of change our outlook, and then, regardless of whatever factors and conditions that are becoming a cause of our taking of our life away from us, we can still maintain optimistic way of life and have a meaningful life. And so for that purpose, here we can use what Shantideva mentioned in his text. One of the most commonly cited verse, Shantideva's text, Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. If there is a remedy, why not apply it? If there is no remedy or solution, what's the point of being worried? So the reason why we are studying these great texts and scriptures is so that having an understanding of the meaning, how can this really kind of apply and help our own way of thinking and dealing with this cyclic existence. And being in the cyclic existence or samsara, because we live here, so therefore it is important to understand the nature of where we are living, or the nature of our environment. And in that context, sometimes we see a metaphor of looking at the cyclic existence as if it is like a huge pit, kind of hole of a fire, kind of some burning, lots of suffering. Here, understanding of the nature of suffering of cyclic existence, three types of suffering, as suffering of change, and pervasive suffering, and many different other classifications. And the reason why it is important to understand the suffering of cyclic existence, or the negative aspect of cyclic existence, because to somebody who wants to attain kind of freedom from this kind of cycle of suffering, it is important to understand the suffering itself, where you are living. And so to that individual it becomes important. So therefore that's the section of the text where we are dealing with. The text tells about the nature of cyclic existence, and more kind of specifically talks about the different kinds of suffering that we experiences being in this cyclic existence. And but on the other hand, if seeing the negative aspect or suffering of cyclic existence is not beneficial for your practice or for your way of thinking, then there's no really point of understanding this, because it is not, obviously it's not going to benefit you. Then why study? But this is this teaching is for, as mentioned before, for those individuals who, with the understanding of who want to free from this kind of cyclic existence, and therefore understanding of the suffering, and that kind of understanding of suffering will make them kind of feel like I need to free from this kind of suffering. So those individuals, then these teachings are helpful. And generally, when we talk about whether the teachings are helpful to teachings are helpful or not, it really depends on whether the teachings are helpful to your own personal way of thinking or not. So so by studying some scriptures and texts, and if it is really benefiting your way of thinking and bringing you some benefits, in whatever way, then studying a text, or the coming of the Buddha, or the many scriptures or texts that we find, those who are composed by early scholars, are really benefiting to you. So you need to really kind of look at your own personal kind of attitude, way of thinking, whether it is really benefiting you or not. That's the whole point here. So so for that purpose, we see in this section of the textbook, it talks about how and what are the different sufferings in cyclic existence. So understanding and studying and learning of the actual sufferings, and because knowing those sufferings, then, as mentioned before, to that particular individual, it will be immense benefit, and sort of becomes really impetus, to kind of to free a desire, generating a sense of a desire or interest in really kind of freeing oneself from this kind of suffering, and then attaining nirvana, liberation, or then ultimately enlightenment.
nang korasde usne sungwa kanchi chi korasde gala ma le ta nyumo wangde kanto kewe ne digiti chi korwa chare chi korwa en chi ta 사실 내려오는 풍부대 난 거라서 나 예. 오늘 따뜻라 트라이니 수와 어떻게 이거라 가지 레장 녀모 왕기 즉 계획 내더라 레장 녀모 왕이 계획 사실이 풍부더니 당연히 누가 되는 싸가지 차도와 이거라 즉 말아서 지 너에게 집어만 거지 때리는 거야. 남기도 돼 일행기 풍부되기 단데 누구 대상 유명까지 뛰가라 치마 아니 배 껴 치마야 아니 배 누가 난쟁이 진사 집다 남기도 돼 응? 가서 거 일행기 녀월랭고 풍부 세대 녀월랭 세대가라 집 단데 동알 제가 맞지 치마야 동알 애니베 이하니야도 길주인사 녀린 녀월레 말세디 두신 경고롱지 손난도 와 어떻게 되는 거네 말아도 시부지 풍부들이 제리지 거 풍부들 제리지는나 풍부들이 가수지 동알지 풍부들이 다 유럽에 떡이 이 배출 상사지다나 풍부들이 겐진 상기 고방미 니 부부들이 깬지는 상기 고방도 좋은 거야. 보다 덴디기 가서 그랬다. 남기 동안에 상을 막 걸치니. 아니 동안 내가 간지라. 아니 동안이 뭐다 맞지? 레벨 뭐다 이대의 유튜브 마시 동안이 육강은 주고요. 마시고 온기 아니 즉 맞다 배 레완 되게 티무비세다 티무비 정황도 손데 티무비 자와도 주니 아니 즉 겨와치마 양쪽 동안 제약이 나대 공부들이 장하는 거야 어떻게 인디인가라 쉬우지 아까 소리 뭐쳐 봐야 돼 그게 전부차로 공부대 간지 있는 공부대 빼줘 간지스당 위험해 공부대 라네 아니 즉 빼줘 상사지다는 아무튼 gente não se soube sangue correndo tudo agora. Oda digite 즉 가수월다 digite tudo 여러 zaman 봐. 뭐는 제가 zaman 봐. 배차 땅거는 마도 랑이 냐는데 자걸 마도 제일 해요 말. 대주가라 즉 digite 뭐다 쳐거든. 아니 배 중이 셰베 딱하게 어린님이 그렇게 되게 통나 데미션이 셈라 아직 따뜻하다 레미도 삼삼지자 에네티 갈래 메체다 마소나 야 파치 갈래 라니 상기 고방도야 초니요 수소데 에네테 상기 고방세나미도 아니 람 탑신이나 냐면지는 고hor마도 람 탑신이 야다는 대야 상기 고방도 투야 요만 타다라고 셔럽니 치워오 셔럽다라고 타니 치워오 세리가나 가르치는 거야 탑시 수용근데네 아니 냐면 나온 거래 그래서 어떻게 쓴 거야 다 인디가다 타께서 뭐 주담이 비 로고스 코니니
So for samsara or cyclic existence, we talk about two kind of classifications here: external and internal. Externals refers to the environment where we take reborn environments and its surroundings, and then internal. The cyclic existence really refers to this internal, what we call the self. Again, this self, or the aggregate can be further categorized into two. But regardless, the kind of the point here is that whatever phenomena or things that are under the influence of power of karmic action and affliction. is what we regard as the cyclic existence, and that includes this, the physical aggregate, and this, physical aggregate we find in Tibetan language expressions such as aggregate, which is a definite kind of source of sort of suffering, or absolute source of suffering. What this refers to is that this aggregate, when we possess right now, not only it becomes the basis or foundations on which we experience all of our suffering, but this same foundational basis becomes the foundation of the basis of the future's suffering too. So if you cannot kind of able to kind of sort of purify or liberate, and the external cyclic existence, as we see, regardless of one's own kind of physical or aggregate condition, there are lots of sufferings and difficulties that is like imposed on us by our surroundings, by our environments, without sort of any other choices. So the point here is that if we used aggregate, although it is under the power of karmic action and affliction, although we are in the cyclic existence, if we know how to use this aggregate or this body in a positive way, then we can benefit, achieve one's own happiness, others' happiness. Then eventually through this body, by using this body, we can go up to the highest level of enlightenment. The flip side is that if we don't know very kind of identity or nature of this body aggregate and the cyclic existence, then it becomes kind of hard to understand the nature of suffering and happiness, and not understanding their causes, the subsequent causes, and therefore, what we find in texts such as, although we want happiness, but out of ignorance we run after the planting the seed of a suffering, and therefore expecting a happiness which never happens. So and so therefore, kind of the basic point here is that it is important to identify what is this aggregate, this body, and so simply kind of making a prayer and wishes, it doesn't work. We need to be practically kind of implementing, putting use of this our body, and through that we can gain the benefit. And again here, sort of to make us actively engage in this kind of journey, what is important is understanding of the cyclic, the suffering of cyclic existence, and with that understanding, it can become sort of a spark, to make us a big fire in ourselves later, and then then gradually kind of move forward in more serious practice of combining method and wisdom, and eventually attaining again enlightenment. So again here, combination of these two is important. Otherwise, wisdom without method aspect is kind of the bondage, and likewise the reverse. So therefore, it is important to have a combining practice of both of these two. So with that, we will go back to the text and continue with the reading.
Maripe jamando yoba maripe teyo yoba desito ba moni nyamungi zanche yoba nyamungu bala chune deaji 지삼 유무고 발라비가 대시도 내 nemba 아니 저와다 맞소 아니 그러게 나라다 된도 네 된도 숨 난도 숨 여배나니 이러마도 다 계세요 말에 계세요 가지 내 실은 거 설기 담아라 처음에나라 개와 이시 이미 이수도 가르쳐 거래 냉용원 개와 아니 몰라몬 개와 띵인용 개와 아니 그래 아니 지 똑기네 왕당 똑당 등기 개와 이출이가 나다 예 다도 가르쳐 거래 이 당고디 내가 뭐라면 개와 깜깜이야 마다베진 세지차 신나는 마다베진 지 걸어와도 와 마다베진 수리가 다베진 수리가 당원이 냐면 니신 중에 딩지 야고 중에 딩지 왕게 아니 다신 때문에 걸어라 개먹어야 다신 때문에 보는 상당마게 나야 다신 때야 보다 딩인진 때 보이는 딩인진 속에 다신 때문에 보다 원다 또 되네 배 당원이 냐면 차 통보용에 똑같은 보이는데도 수수 가만 깨나다 게 초초차려 보다 되게 인도가라 말아도 다 매주에 맞게 맞어 매주 제나 계사 그러지 그런 조리 주는 림도 뭐는 상사들 야 강도 다 되게 가지 차이게 만나는 거 개코라요 말 차이게 가는 거 머리 빗대올이 타고 와 머리 빗대올도 타와라 소소 시바리 얘도 마찬가지 시바 때문에 좀 와 인인진 쓰기가 즉 오늘 자나요 미리 왕부지 안에도 뭐 그런 주제 그래 삼den서라 왕들 잡고 있어 소설sem나 왕 수소랑은 요거지 왕스리 정왕도 머리 비정왕도 마셔 왔지 어디 딜리 타라베 네 소설sem다 소설 가족 가봐 유도 소설 왕자였지 이거와 이제는 띵 전부 지도와 와다 양 띵이 되는 거 아니 양문이 소소냐면 책 도보인데 자주 기싸로 뭐는 많이 가지 근데 얘나 야 뭐는 갈 때가 두고 와 근데 내가 뭐는 좀 양 따지는 게 근데 이제 같이 숨도 와 어떤 게 뭐네 그게 다 단단히 님이 있어야 돼 당부이 님이 머리 빗대어도 지금 이어 진짜라 아이 뉴몬반 데려와 되네 그러니 양양도 돌렌체 고래 시도 어떻게 숨고 이 숨도 양다양도 돌렌체 니니 대부 대숨찬데 막고 있어 그래 이제 지바 양다양도 민상적인 거 어떻게 민상자를 공부하래 마리파 좀 이해 진짜다 마리파린 마찬가지다 그러나다 겨와지만 주가 셀렌스바기 양쪽이 내 사도 소대로 거 어떻게 숨고
So if you have a book, we are on page 38. So we are going through drawbacks of cyclic existence, or the drawbacks of cyclic existence. The understanding the nature of cyclic existence, and here the drawbacks in the text it explains through kind of using 6 points. We finish those first 3 points: the disadvantages of uncertainty, disadvantages of dissatisfaction, and the disadvantages of having to discard your body over and over again. We finished those 3, The next one is the last paragraph on page 38. It's translated as the disadvantages of entering the womb over and over again, which means basically taking a rebirth again and again in the cyclic existence. And this rebirth happens because of the very root cause, which is the ignorance. And as long as we are under the power of ignorance, we have no choice. But it generates what we call afflicted mentalities, and as long as there's afflicted mentalities, it kind of generated sort of waves of sufferings, and therefore continuously suffering under these negative mentalities. And in taking a rebirth in texts such as Wisdom of Golden Ornament, we find 4 kinds of rebirths. The first one is a rebirth through sort of karmic action and ignorance, which is what we are talking here. Then rebirth of or through prayers, and then rebirth through meditative concentration or stabilizations, and then rebirth through simply through power or kind of power or strength. The first one that is related with what we are talking here, the karmic affliction, the karmic action and afflictions becomes really kind of the forces or the cause that kind of throw us back into cyclic existence. And because of this very kind of cause, we take rebirth in what we call impure realms. Another way of saying, this cyclic existence. On the other hand, there is a pure realm. Pure realm refers to a realm where one can take a rebirth through, such as power of concentration or meditation. And in that kind of pure realm, one can take a rebirth with one's own choice. You have a complete freedom or way to take a rebirth. And so freeing ourselves from 6 realms, definitely that's something that can be attainable by us. And so for that, we shouldn't be kind of at least free from being a slave of ignorance here. And through kind of the meditation or meditative stabilization or single pointedness, we find expressions such as through meditative stabilizations one can attain power of the mind in such a way that the mind becomes stable like a big mountain, and once you use it or send it for positive kind of objective observation, it can completely kind of focus. So the point here is that through meditation or single pointedness we can purify and cleanse our mind, and therefore attain the stability of our mind and attain the freedom for ourselves. And the rebirths through prayers, this refers to such as through one's own practice of altruistic mind, and if you make specific prayers, you can take a rebirth through that power of prayers, which is really based on your practice. And so to begin with this section, disadvantages of entering womb over and over again, or basically taking a rebirth, and this happens because of this ignorance to begin with.
semchen didn't Jemanuzer, Shapra. Semchen chi de Majava, down the the current Sidigala, and in Zambulingiza, Pagi Sada, Dote, Shulu, Shubegi, Dudua. What a tenigi, Zondi, whichever Shulu the Segri is Zambulin Sadote, Shuluji, Shuli Seji, Jenny, Ribuche, the good Zed. Mark Tanga Sigi Marisa. What a peaceful one. Did you ever want it? Chip. Did Hemo Jishado. What a thing. Dolan Mongo Jisado. Jeta. Then there were Lord Tambale, Galonta, then Hibu Gaji, Chimbundilla, Geshuki, Sindu, Samji, Tote, Dini, Zaki Mao, Dini, Zaki Me Omao, Je, Drwana, Gelonta, Sachambudi Jibana, Ching Upper Zefi, Beauty, Minamti, May Guni, that are Maino. So what are they for? And Amuni, Dejakashe Nala, Susu Pudi, and if Ungina, and if the William Mishia, and Yamama, Mother, O Mother, any bed. Mamma Susu Tunsha, take Jatul chair, Mount, 2 hours, then a Sudo. What do you know? Marazu. When is it? Namshi Ginji, killing Gina, she be green killing engine. Toma and she be good. Shepa Chili on good letters, good much of good Yulenji, Ginchi, Gintebuchakwa. The Indura is Samutana, some money that special initiating when is Chadi. Then she came Malang Angela. What a better thing she ever did. Now on back cover. Indugala, Yawa, Machi Sindi, she begins on Jajur Mato, who begins Jayapran, Yomarwa. Indugala, Yawa Machi killing individual, but this money is a water. And it did it, some Rishana, some of Buja Yaj, leg the one. The Indugala, money, Maranso, Cindy the marketing to collect. There are no marketing. They tell Indugala. Semchen di Darsen Doria, di Niensen Doria, Jania, no, which you got to come, and they can pay Daniel Line, never Medibala, Susan, Mamma Chia Medibala, Chena, and the Chegumaro, Pen Tonet, Chip, Dirina, Pen Tom, Marwa, Pesant Pentoja, Pentoja, Indico on the Pentoja, Pentoja, Tico on the Pentoja, Pentoja. What a do Swiss Samadana, and it's Semchen Panje. Much in an 18th year of those Jenny, any Lindeman Avenue, Sem Theatre, some courage board. What a thing of money. The Dodson and Jesse gave a Najin Jenny, now take Sujo, Paso, Duchoni, Samadani, Lord Jongario. Do see not the one to tell you.
The disadvantages of entering the womb over and over again. The same text says, which is the friendly letters, the previous. The earth would be insufficient to count the number of one's mothers with pallets of soil the size of juniper berries. The commentary to the friendly letter quotes a sutra as follows. O bhikshus, if a person were to take pallets of earths the size of juniper berries, saying, quote, this is my mother, this is my mother's mother, and so forth, unquote, as he cast them aside, O bhikshus, the soil of this great earth would soon be exhausted, but the series of that person's mothers would not. So the point for quoting this citation is that the earth would be insufficient to count the number of one's mother. It kind of presents the the continuity of consciousness and sort of beginningless of the consciousness, the continuity of consciousness. So as mentioned in here, if you try to count on one hand, all individual, on one hand your mother sentient, on one hand counting, each sentient being as your mother. On the other hand, you have, as mentioned here, the entire earth when it, when you used to make a small, berries, I mentioned the juniper berries, and if you count, then you will reach to the end of that counting of, juniper berries, but you won't reach the end of counting, sentient beings as your mother. So, as mentioned before, the point is, the Buddhist interpretation is that there is no sentient beings that has never been your mother in the past life, and in some texts we find expressions such as if you sort of hypothetically say if you kind of put together all body that you have taken a rebirth and fill up this world, even that world won't be sufficient placed. You have take that many rebirth, and if you have taken just kind of rebirth from mother's womb, and if you sort of measure the amount of milk, breast milk that feeds you, if you compare that with the entire ocean on this planet, still that is not enough. So it used these different metaphors to explain the limitless rebirth that we have taken in the past. And so the point, as we mentioned before, the consciousness that we have right now is really it's a beginningless, and through this kind of presentation, what we find is establishing the cycle of rebirth or continuity of consciousness, and again this becomes consciousness. And those who doesn't believe in rebirth or continuity of consciousness, this won't make sense, and for there's really no benefit. But again, if you believe in the continuity of consciousness, rebirth cycle, then these are helpful teachings. And so with that kind of the way of understanding or using a logic, we look at other sentient beings, and then we really won't find individual that has never been your mothers in the past life. So so if that is the case, you look at mother of this life and how she is kind of grateful to you, in kind of raising you up and making you human. And when you see the kindness, the caring of your mother, and then there's really it will help you to look at other sentient beings, and there's really no point of having a thought of bias mentality, somebody close, somebody far, enemy, so-called, all those kind of designation that we often come up in this mundane world. Basically, all other sentient beings has been, in one time or another, has been your mother. So to be nice to you, it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody has to be nice to you right now. They can be nice to you in past life, in yesterday or last month. So when you think of all this kind of overall understanding, it really brings to the point of bring back to the point of 7-point precepts of generating altruistic mind. It brings to the first point, that is recognizing all sentient beings as one's mother. So once you have some sense of that, other sentient beings has been how they are, grateful, important, caring, and that will take you to the second step up. Then how can you repay the kindness? Again, sort of using example of your mother of this lifetime, and then so the 7 point, recognizing and remembering and repaying, and then it goes, and then this 7 point itself is generating altruistic mind. So that's one way, kind of another way of thinking. So here we can use many different ways of understanding, sort of training our mind, basically generating a sense of caring or altruistic mind, or for other sentient beings.
아니 니 감는다 야가지고 참들라 양배 담는다 되게 막 자제 네배 소소 고사다 마wan 예 마고 차거야 다디고 단데 니도 그 치동 닌디배 새로 개피기돼 있는 이나 어떤 거지는 레미도 기저 통통지나 유도 망고를 불러 대리는 깨와니 깨와 유연디가라 아 들리자 네 줄라 니배 마다 참들 니배 레감 스님 인지비 왕기 이자케야 지랑 왕기 냐와케야 뭐다 지 추짐수 왕기 뭐 돌아가니 고방토야 어떤 부스지니 지 레상한 왕 누가 뭐지 대수고 대준가라 즉 어머니 터미디게 님이 세요 뭐다 두수제데 간진 델링 아 징의전이 여왕의 지균이 터미디게야 단디 에니베 즉 신장한다 저주장의 왕기 양배 터미디게야 이게 뭐다 강가 예 인수가 뭐다 tuk수래 다 에나 다가라 인터넷에서 뭐뭐 브라마니시제는 뭐 정하지 말아요. 버르지다 그 브라마니시제의 구수티 에쇼리지 냠제죠. 버르지다 그 종관으로 거 줘. 내가 나진 프랑스기 제기시라면 종관으로 해와. 프레지던트 프랑스. 대주의 종관지 뭐. 그 통은 누가? 인도 말한도 난산지나 가수진 들도 그러고. 되게 듣던가. 그 유니 케밀라 루동도가 말고 어떻게 됐어 나바 양다 양도 터면디기 님이 삼바 시링데 야진지데 제일 끝나는 레게와 지금 사생데 콜로주자 님도 들어왔나 들어왔다도 양된 님도 들어왔어 콜로주 야보이나 텐드 그래서 소에 오늘 그래도 왔대요 아마 지금에 인그리시 그래 근데 단 마트는 거는 단데 도스지네 방법 팀이 딱보지 강가로 왕주는 지금가 지금 동강 걸 거야 어떻게 되는 거야 어떻게 되는 거야 이거 토리 붐 누모 개발 레베데와 유리 노네라 냐와타게 근데 유코리 레와 친구미세 땐사로 감베레 네버 레즈파 lumbupe la yurin nenecha lariam nemo ronya joai lungal meze ponyo gitalo oda dos ydigala ta mone naran to tande mili ta ta mone chaso nyomo shu shobo yi wangde le tuchmada chigala gala senensibage repe le tuchmoji nyawa ke lejile 인상자리나 한데 밀라 다쳐 건도 많고 때문에 또밤도 시간을 인상 관리자 내메로 내메제 인디가라 시간을 딱 인상을 때 내면 경험을 내는 즉 냐와기 레지라 인상자리나 이치마 따다 냐위 메다 위 야메도 데가 오다 즉 당연소이나 페마카가 페마 첨부터 봤을 때 리에 차니 얘네 부스지네 자와게 내지게야 어떻게 되는데 누가 봐도 내가 연구 와라 어떻게 됐어 어떻게 됐냐 이게 뭐네 누도 여와다 어디 부스지는 공부하시고 와라 그래서 뭐네 나도 누가 되게 되기는 재미가 왔던 싸워이는 말이 강아지 랑게 셈데 뉴무베 고치순로나 아니 즉 동안용하다 랑게 셈데 레베 고치순 잠바다 세와다 텐데게 고치순로이나 즉 대화용하다 어디 텐데기 개발 순고할 간제 두스레
그거부터 그래서 상황만 로인데.
건강로면 그동안 미즈 폰님 이게 차로 둘러셔가
로션을
둘이 그 로신 가와다 넘버 제서 숨을 제네라 넘버라지 다서 남기장 강반 나위 나주 토바트 딸진데도 취 부모님 donde sergi den dema den gyurna lare nyawe chu parmepa sabe la chuzin ju thalo layu rede 신도 첨보대 사이 기 차트 대와 톰니 라 나르메 미 부신 주와이 룽어 유미치데 된 살로 뭐니 좋아 그냥 아주 냐와 깽이 되게 텔레자 지금 동네 동화들에 와도 치갈라갈라 와도 메디 동화리 치네 아니 다 자지 내일에 차상수로 라이 인도에는 오셨더라 이제는 아니 같이 자지 레벨이 즉 추심기 동분하지 들어와 누구지 다른 사람한테 차상수로 그렇고 뭐다 이리 이가라 다티 겨왕함이 니게 왜 다른 데버지인데 라니 치가라 시치마다도 냐와게 어떻게 너는 텔레장 라세린 보아테 소이나 이 세세린 뭔데 여기 갈라 내가 탐제 좋아하네 다 미기 레마던 데는데 겨와 치마데 레 모실 도끼 강하게 내지 통과 통로도 갈라 대패 달리 그 미두스네 이베 내 균일로 뭐하지 좋아서 송도 라세린 몰라 어떻게 일을 해야 돼 어떻게 와 두고 자와 두고 내가 자와 두고 뒤인지 갈라 하이네 시우지 체린 초라는 라세린 무슨 게 즉 이는 땅보니 깨면이 소디 메서가 살 응? 한개는 배 제베 좀 그러나 에이네 애니베 가와드는 시험바 깨미 선택서 때 즉 시우지 즉 내는 못 봐. 몸을 가리는지 망고리 숨도 이쪽 네 나랑 듣다가 네 아메리카에서 갔다가 메모리 보면서 가지 직대 대고 가지나 네군 차상 된리지 나라 게 아니 치가라가 그냥 치마다 냐와게 용도가 다 같이 쳐도 다 냐 부신 차가 도 라이 이랬는데요. 어떻게 숨고 자 니말 다와 니도 라리기 의긴지는 다낭 제기가 라리안 문나 메두 치규는 랑딜라 빨장 터민도 제바다 누가 롱레장 사바 군지 타이 세트 통부 군자 탈롱주 체드 타니 나와이 선배 타니 치와이 제송바 따로 때문에 말하고 위 론치 다 디 총구 정구연에 차상 가지 이제 차상 사셔도 매차도 어디 디나 진지 아니 돈버 인정님도 아니 가지 대비 건도 주주 양가고 제 돈버 치중까지 믿어고 친구잖아 동화를 보고 대충 거 아니 나라서 개비치마 기가 어디 치와 뚝뚝만해 이디가라 체 맞았다 계산다 맞았다 만나만나 산이 만나게 다 좀해야돼 겨왕한테 레지 공연 좀 거래 단다 가야나야 레디세스나 제약이 레디세는 양 내도 봐 어떻게 무슨 제배 담만 대와 선배 담만 치워 어때 손볼 리뷰 대상 인쇄에 시부시부 다진데 맞게 말아 어떻게 어떻게 이게 되게 삼마가 있는 루시 아 같이 이 한가 양도 인상적으로 즉 하기 최체 그 쪼는 좋다 어떤 가지 샘 유라 당연히 쪼는 좋고요 대처가 다시 되면 땅원에 다시 되면 와야 돼 대기 공부 주지 인진 tempo도 와 소수 냐면 지지네 아니 즉 자주기 샘게는 물론 가래다가 듣고 와 겨 가와지 되게 있잖아 물론 뒤tun데 게 듣고 와 뭐다 되게 한번 다 뭐다 자동 손이용 수잖아 소수 가운데 가운데 날 기초고 예 왕 두둑이 뭐다 되게 뭐니 즉 삼단지 때까지 그걸 다다 뭐다 도수진이 예 하기 삼로 귤투가지고 와 단지 도수나 된다 어떻게 네 자신
The next point is page 39, the disadvantages of continually changing from high to low. Number fifth point of the drawbacks of cyclic existence. So it doesn't matter as long as we are in the cyclic existence. By nature, it is by nature very unstable. There's always a fluctuation. Sometimes we become high, sometimes low. It always keeps changing without our own kind of the choice of freedom. And here, of course, we are talking about in Buddhist understanding here, the duration is extremely long. We are talking about lifetime after lifetime. It's very fluctuating by nature. But when we bring the same concept to very short lifetime, the current, the present era is what we call, the 100 years, life cycle. So we live almost, the highest is around 100 years. And within that very short, timing, again, within that short timing, it is by nature very fluctuating. We see sometimes becoming, gaining a lot of fame, respect, and then we fall down, So this can be, this is a very much nature part of cyclic existence. And when we talk about more kind of longer cycle, out of, based on what action that you created, out of maintaining a pure or good ethical conduct, we can take a higher rebirth, or hatred or attachment, we can fall into lower rebirth, hungry ghost or hell. So there is a great fluctuations within cyclic existence, and and this, as mentioned before, this can apply to within this short period of one lifetime, and it really depends on what you do. Actually, the point here is, example, Geshe-la was saying, not only in ordinary life, but we can see that happen at in our mundane kind of world, the highest, such as Prime Minister. Geshe-la used the example of Indira Gandhi or French Prime Minister. One time they seems to be attain the highest status that they can within their nation, Prime Minister. But at one point of their life, they end up being in prison. So that kind of extreme can happen even at that highest level of status or fame. And in the text we find kind of using the very typical Buddhist example. So reading the text, the friendly letter says, having been chakra. So chakra here is the what we usually find the universal king. Having been a chakra worthy of the world's veneration, one falls again to earth through the force of action. Or having been a universal monarch, one again becomes a servant in cyclic existence. Having long experienced the pleasure of fondling the breast and hips of celestial maidens, one undergoes the unbearable contact of the crushing, cutting and slashing operations in the hell. So one can have a very kind of pleasurable rebirth in the heavenly realm, and then kind of falling into the extreme hell realm, that kind of fluctuation. Think of how, following the pleasure of the grounds, yielding at at the touch of your feet, while dwelling long on Meru's peak, the unbearable suffering of the fire pit and swamp of filth will strike again. Having frolicked in lovely pleasant gardens, waited won by celestial maidens, again your arms and legs, ears and nose are cut in the forest trees with the leaves like a sword. So, sort of mentioned the same thing before. Taking a rebirth in what we call celestial realm or heavenly or God realm, because of extremely kind of joyous or pleasurable, and then having a very long life. That's one reason why we see that in the realms of heaven or deity or goddesses, they generated what we call wrong view, because they think that because of their own kind of pleasure, they think that there's really no cause and effect, or so. Although they can have that kind of pleasurable lifetime long, but at the end of dying, then they see all kind of signs where they're going to take a reborn, and then they become, as mentioned here, they become sort of the wood that actually makes the fire in the hell, fire pit, swarm of filth. They take a reborn in the sort of lowest, most extreme suffering. Forest of trees like leaves, like swords. This is another level of hell realm. In the hell realm, we can see different kind of levels. Extreme, like a hot or cold, and within those there are different kind of classifications. After resting in gently flowing streams on golden lotuses with beautiful celestial maidens, again you fall into the unbearable caustic boiling water of the infernal faultless river. Having attained the magnificent pleasure of celestial realms and even Brahma's bliss of detachment, again you undergo endless suffering. As kindling for the fires of the hell without respite, when you have attained the state of sun or moon, the light of your body illuminates the entire world. But when returning to darkness again, or not even your outstretched hand can be seen. So all of this example, we see the using for a great instability and fluctuation in the cyclic existence. As long as one is within the cyclic existence, these are bound to happen. And finally, the transmissions of discipline says the end of all accumulation is exhaustion. The end of being high is to fall low. The end of meeting is separation. The end of life is death. So this is the very nature of cyclic existence. As long as you are in, it doesn't matter how much you accumulated, how much you gathered during short lifetime. By nature, it will exhaust it. How much you reach status, fame, high, will come down. And the meeting, although the meeting here, we were all born in different places, but we somehow gathered here out of some karmic causes. But again, the end of all this meeting is, by nature, separation, and the end of life, as it here, is death. So, this kind of way of understanding, we should be kind of, use this sort of very the negative images to use these as again, as mentioned before, as a force to make ourselves into kind of doing a practice. So we should be using these as factors and conditions that will help us to practice. So on top of understanding these and application or implementation, and if you accumulate the positive merits, then it says it's really up to you. It's your own choice, what decision you want to make and where you want to take a rebirth. It's really up to you. It's your own individual or your own personal choice, and you have all kind of access or conditions or factors that you can manage. And so again, all of this is to help us, or to change or transform our outlook or way of thinking. We'll take a break here.